This is Keith McGowan, the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to continue on with our tests with our 150 horsepower motor. A couple months back we did the lower unit, we did the oil in the lower unit, we pressure tested it, we did the water pump. Now we just finished up the thermostats on my previous video, and we're getting ready to fire this up as a test run and get it ready for sale. If everything runs well, we're going to go ahead and move on with it. So put some fuel in it. Like, subscribe, and send me any comments that you have about this. So I like to squeeze my squeeze ball, and we got fuel coming out of this O-ring right here. So let's see if I can get a closer shot on this. Okay, so right in here we have a screw that holds this. It's a little fork here that holds this fuel rail on, and where it goes into each carb here, there's O-rings. And let's see if I can get it to squirt for you. So when I squeeze on my squeeze ball, there you go, right away. You see it coming through there, right? So obviously we can't have that. It's going to suck air there. Also, we don't want fuel leaking all over the place while we're trying to run the motor. Now I have rags here to catch it. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that. And I believe I have some O-rings to match that are fuel rated. And hopefully that's the only leaks we have. We'll get pressure in it again and see if there's anything else this needs. So these two screws we have good access to, but there's one down below here. And I'm just going to remove this cowling. We're going to disconnect our wiring, disconnect our battery cables, just to be safe. I also want to clean out inside there. I don't know how long this has been leaking for. So guy said it was a good running motor. I have a feeling he started to have leaks. He had told me he had it at the marina. They had put a new power pack on it, and they had tuned the motor, and it was running great. He said he had put the power pack on it because it wasn't running well, and he took it to a marine shop. They tuned the carbs, is what he said to me, and then it was running fine all year. He just was time to repower. He wanted to go 4-stroke. So I have a feeling he started to have leaks, and that's when he said, I'm not putting any more money into this motor. It also needed a power tilt and trim seal, right? So he said, oh, that's going to be more money, and it's time for a water pump. I just did the thermostats, and he probably said, you know what, I'm going to move on and go 4-stroke now. So that's what I got from him when I bought this motor. As you look here closely, I capped off my oil line because I have oil mixed with my fuel, so I'm not concerned about running oil. I want to keep it capped so it can pull a little vacuum on it. A lot of guys like to disconnect the VRO from these. We'll get into that a little more when we do this test run. But right now, I want to pull these cowlings off. I want to clean it out inside. As we said, we had good compression on this motor, so we want to continue on and be diligent with all our little tests. So this will be a good running motor for somebody. So let's get this cowling off, and then we will get into these fuel rails, and then we'll test to see if there's no other leaks, and take it from there. So there's just 4 that I see 3/8 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4 to pull this cowling off. So, right, they come right out. See there's oil all over them, which tells me this was either leaking fuel or oil. So we're going to go through this oil injection system as well. Again, most guys are going to eliminate that oil injection system because it was a point of contention with some of these motors. So then this cowling should split in half, and it will be able to access all of the screws, and then thoroughly look through these carbs when we get some pressure in there and make sure there's no leaks. So it is a bit of tight fit back here where we have our P-tube that comes out. So it's a big rubber flange that goes around there that it gets stuck to, so you have to work it a little bit. And remember too, on the other side we have a trim switch that we have to disconnect because we don't want it hanging by the wires. So did find a washer in there. Don't know what that is for, so we'll save that. Doesn't look like it was something that came with it. So actually I'm happy there's not a lot of fuel and oil in here. So this may be something just minor that we can take care of. So realizing now I still have my power tilt and trim connected as well as my fuel lines and oil lines, I'm going to see if I can just pull this off and let it sit down. Hopefully that'll be far enough This way I'm not getting into disconnecting all those lines, just because I'm lazy. Yep, that'll be enough for us to get that screw out, and we can check those O-rings. So let me get a screwdriver, we'll pull them out, and let's see what those O-rings look like. I have a feeling they're flat inside there, and we'll cut this tie strap, take the whole fuel rail over to the bench, and we'll line up some O-rings, see if we can get this to stop leaking. So we're probably gonna get a little bit of fuel out of this. So I have some rags down below. I'll stick another one in here. Try and catch as much as we can, not make a big mess in the shop. So I like to kind of break the tie straps off first. The fuel line moves nicely on this, and it's nice and soft, so it's not brittle, it's not going to break anything, but I'm kind of being able to hold it because it's still in place. It may be a little more difficult, or it might even be easier when I have it out here, but this is just the way I like to do it. A little bit of fuel came out. Our rag caught it down there, so let's get these screws out now and see what these O-rings look like. So as you can see, when the screw comes out, there is a little plate here, like a fork, that is fitting on to this fuel rail, holding it in place so it slides off, right? So that fork, and I'll show you when we get the fuel rail off how that lines up. So we just want to wiggle this back and forth a little bit, just work it out little by little. We don't want to just go yank on it. We don't want to break anything. And it comes right out. So, as you can see the O-rings here, there's a double O-ring set, and then you see there's a slot here where this fits in, right? And that's what holds it in place. So let's clean this up a little better so we can see it a little better. We'll make sure we're clean inside of here before we put it back on, and let's take these O-rings off and see what we have to match up. So first we'll clean this up real good. As you know, I like to have a clean working surface, especially when you're doing fuel related items. Any little speck of dirt could get into a little orifice. So we want to clean everything up really good. I'll even take a little brake cleaner now and just flush through. And it comes out all three, no problem. So O-rings actually don't look too bad, but we will go ahead and line some up. So I have several different O-ring kits. So let's see what lines up for what we have here. So it doesn't look like anything in my kit is going to match, but what happens over the years of working on motors, you save stuff, right? So I'm going to go through some of this stuff and see if I have, this looks like a Yamaha box, although I see a Johnson Evinrude things in here as well, especially down the bottom, some of the smaller stuff. See if I have O-rings for that. If not, I guess we're going to the marina today.